Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, Choose What You're Going to Eat? No problem. I worked in a small town restaurant. There was only one other restaurant in the town at the time, so lunchtime would get pretty busy with local farmers, local oil rig guys, and other people that worked around town. I had an 8-top of oil rig gentleman from out of state. So, this particular young gentleman decided he was going to flirt with me from the very beginning. Not even cute flirting, just obnoxious flirting. I also had a boyfriend. I had a full restaurant and other stuff to attend to, so I didn't have time to sit around and flirt, nor did I want to. The time comes to order food. Everybody else in the group is real straightforward, easy, nice. I get to him and he says, "Well, I don't know what I want, sweat pea, why don't you surprise me, wink, I hate when people do this. You're a grown adult, you should know what you want to eat. I don't know a single thing about you other than you're cringeworthy." I try asking him to at least narrow it down for me and he won't. So, after making sure he doesn't have any food allergies, I give in and agree. What did I order for him? The spiciest pasta on the menu. I did ask him if he liked spicy and his response was, "I do if you do." Cringe. Being a small town restaurant, 90% of our menu was made from scratch. So, I made sure to tell the cook that cooked his pasta to make it extra spicy because of above reasons. The cook gladly added extra chipotles, jalapenos and habaneros. I bring out the food. Let them all dig in. I check back after 5 minutes asking how everything is. Everyone, except for Homeboy, said it was great. Homeboy couldn't answer because he was too busy holding back tears from how spicy it was. I leave and hear all of his buddies burst out laughing and say he deserved it. Another guy ended up paying for his meal and tipping me well over 20%. So, in the end it worked out, and good lord did it feel good to finally give someone what they deserved and asked for. The next one is titled, 90s Throwback from My Mum. So this is my mum's story that she literally just told me. When I was about 5, I got chicken pox. No big deal for me, I barely noticed and just had a fun week home from school playing Power Rangers. My mum, however, realized that at age 33 she had never had the chicken pox, and she was pretty sure I had now given it to her. She was right. She found what I think is referred to as the bleeding spot. So she called her manager at work, she worked at Tesco, a big supermarket chain in the UK, and told her that, although she felt fine, she was pretty sure she had the pox. Her manager, let's call her Karen, K, for reasons that will become obvious, says tersely, "If you feel fine, come in for work then." So, in my mum goes. She spends hours sitting at the checkout, scanning items and handling money, until a supervisor from the bakery department, happens to wander by and physically recoils as he sees that my mum now has visible spots manifesting on her arms and neck. You have chicken pox? Yep. Why the hell are you here? I told Karen, but she told me to come in anyway. Supervisor went straight to Karen and demanded she let my mother go home. Obviously upset at being tattled on and having her stupid actions be made apparent to other co-workers, Karen tried to take it out on my mum in some small way by demanding she get a doctor's note. So my mum went straight from work to the doctor, who told her, confused, that she could have just stayed home for a week, maybe even only a few days, she didn't need to see a doctor for chicken pox. Well, when my mum told him her manager had demanded a doctor's note, he said, fine, and signed her off work for 2 weeks. Right before Christmas. The next one is titled, He Does Work for You. Back when I was in the Air Force, I held a position known as Flight Chief. Basically, I was in charge of 35 to 40 people. This story takes place on early morning when the breakfast hunger starts setting in. I'm sitting at my desk looking over emails when a young airman runs up and urgently tells me I am needed in their work section. I take the short 15-yard jog over and I see another airman, we'll call him Smith, laying on the floor unresponsive. I look around the area waiting for an explanation to why this person is laying on the floor. I notice a contractor sheepishly looking at the ground or a computer generally avoiding eye contact like a kid that's about to get in trouble for something. Another airman speaks up and tells this story. Smith wanted to go to the dining facility to get breakfast and told the contractor to sit his position while he was gone. The contractor told him that he can only sit that position in emergency situation, and Smith wanting food is not an emergency. Smith told the contractor that he worked for the government, and since he was a rep of the government he had to do what he said. They went back and forth for a couple of minutes when Smith said, "You look angry. Do you want to hit me?" Then proceeded to stick his chin out, taunting him, saying things like, "Hit me, go ahead and hit me," and "I'm telling you to hit me." Around this time the airman on the ground starts stirring. He gets up off the floor, looks around, notices me and says, "I want to press charges against the contractor for assault." My response: "You told him to hit you. He's a contractor and did what you told him to do." The next one is titled, "Boss doesn't want my help unless she specifically asks for it." A few years ago I took a customer service job and my boss, Shirley, was the laziest, snarkiest person I've ever worked around. She spent her day on social media and personal calls while her inbox grew. Shirley's boss rarely came around and was happy as long as Shirley didn't bring any problems to her, so of course, Shirley didn't, she buried any problems. After I'd been there a couple weeks, Shirley was showing us some new procedure. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something I'd done in a previous position and there was a much easier way of doing it. I asked if I could make a suggestion. Shirley instantly shot it down. "No. I don't want suggestions or help unless I specifically ask for them. Just do what I tell you to do." It was embarrassing and demeaning to say the least. When Shirley went to lunch, the gal who had been training me asked me what I was going to suggest and I showed her. She agreed it was much more efficient and she showed the others. She told me they just worked around Shirley. They all disliked her and just waited until she was away to discuss problems and came up with solutions and left Shirley out of it. A year later, the lady who trained me retired. Before she left, she showed me how to run phone statistic reports. They showed how many calls each rep took, how long the calls lasted, how many rings before each call was answered, typical call center stuff. She asked me to take over putting together a report including email statistics each month to send to the e-commerce manager. Shirley was to give me the email statistics. After the first month, I emailed Shirley asking for the email stats. She ignored it. After the second month, same thing. I decided if it wasn't important to her, then I just wouldn't do it. I figured if questioned, I would show the emails I sent Shirley reminding her so my butt would be covered. Nothing ever came of it. So things went for the next couple of years. Then came the announcement that Shirley's boss had been fired, and while they searched for a replacement, Shirley would be reporting to the president of the company. She was terrified. He had her jumping through hoops. He had her submitting reports to him, attending meetings, answering questions. She returned from one meeting frantic. She told the senior rep Angela that he wanted her to bring him phone statistics that afternoon and she had no idea where to get them. I knew. Angela knew I knew. While Shirley sat at her desk trying to figure what to do, Angela came to me and said, "You aren't going to tell her, right?" I said, "Well, she once told me she didn't want my help unless she specifically asked for it, right?" "Well, she hasn't specifically asked me." We grinned at each other. Shirley went to her meeting empty-handed. She ended up getting fired a week or so later. I don't think it was because she didn't have the phone statistics, but that was probably one of many things that made it apparent that she didn't know what she was doing. The next one is titled, "You want me to sit on my hands to stop fidgeting? Fine, but I won't be able to use them to work." So I've recently been going through the process of getting an ADHD diagnosis, and part of this requires me to look through old school reports to see if there were patterns present during childhood. I got to one report that repeatedly mentioned fidgeting in each class by the same teacher, and it sparked a memory of 7-year-old me enjoying taking my teacher's words literally. I used to fidget bad. I was a great student, but I just couldn't keep my hands still because doing that stopped me from interrupting classmates and the teacher. One class, I'm fidgeting and my teacher tells me off and says I need to sit on my hands to stop myself if I don't have any self-control. Me, for how long? Ms. J, until I say you can stop. So I sat on my hands like she asked. Then she started handing out our workbooks and pencils, and I thought I should start working, but I realized she hadn't said I could take my hands out from under my butt. But then I also can't raise my hand to ask if I can stop, because that defeats the point. So I turned to my friend and asked for their help putting the pencil in my mouth and opening the workbook. I start writing with my head, which is when Ms. J notices. Ms. J, what the hell are you doing? Me, you said I had to sit on my hands until you said I could stop. You didn't say I could stop yet, so I'm making do. She got really angry at that and sent me out of the class for being too literal, but she never asked me to sit on my hands again. The next one is titled, Can't Wear Skinny Jeans to School. So this happened on my senior year in high school. I went to a private school that had a uniform. On our senior year, they decided to change it to beige pants, brown shoes and a blue shirt with the school logo. So as teenagers, we all bought skinny jeans to wear since they looked much better. I bought ones that were particularly tight around my calves, and my history teacher decided they did not comply with the dress code, so she told me loudly and publicly to buy new ones or she wouldn't allow me inside the classroom, making a huge deal out of it in front of the class. Keep in mind that the rest of the faculty had taken no issue with them. I even had classes with the headmistress and she didn't care. Of course I wasn't about to buy new pants, especially when the class was waiting to see what I would do. So for the next class, one printed a copy of the email that informed the change in uniform and sat down. As soon as she got to class, she came up to me and told me to leave, refusing to look at the email. I stood up and left. Went into another class, took a chair and came back. I made sure to place the chair loudly on the edge of the door frame and sat down. She got really mad at this and closed the door, so I decided to try and annoy as many people as I could from the hallway, walked around the school poking my head in windows etc. Of course I was noticed and sent to the principals. When asked why I wasn't in class, one just answered that teacher didn't like my pants so she wouldn't let me in. She was called, and when they told me that she was right, I produced the email and showed them that it never specified what type of pants, only that they were beige. I was allowed in again and used the same loophole to get away with wearing sweatpants in school. The last one is titled, You Want Half. Okay. Over 10 years ago I started dating my ex. I didn't know this then, but she is an entitled Karen. They say hindsight is 20/20 cast, me, obvious. Karen, entitled she devil. We met when I was 20 through my brother's friend. We are both the same age, both from dysfunctional families. I was a seasonal worker, working a variety of seasonal job like picking fruit and packing sheds, hard work but good pay, work available 45 weeks of the year. She was between jobs. We met, started dating and things were going well. After a year we got a flat together. 6 months later she begrudgingly landed a job but quit 1 month in when we found out she was 2 weeks pregnant. At this point we got a mortgage and I was working as an apprentice chef. Working shifts on apprenticeship wages, 6 days a week, leaving for work between 7 to 9 am, getting home between 9 to 11 pm depending on how busy we were. I won't lie, it was tough. Our daughter was born. I was told she became pregnant to trap me, but I dismissed it. This is where things changed. I was working 40 to 60 hours a week, coming home to an angry girlfriend in a trashed house. Just to clarify, I don't believe in traditional gender roles. It's not a man's place to work or a woman's place to clean. I believe in a partnership where both parties pull their weight. A typical week for me was working Tuesday to Sunday, then spend Monday cleaning every dirty plate, cup and pan in the sink, which was every dish I owned. Her week was watching TV and shopping on Facebook Tuesday to Thursday, takeaway Friday, because we are out of clean dishes, then spend Saturday and Sunday at her sister's. She developed this "the world owes me" complex. Took control of the finances. I wasn't allowed to spend any money, to the point that she would yell at me if I purchased fuel, gas, to get to work. The amount of money she wasted on useless crap still makes my blood boil. Fast forward 5 years. Things have not changed. I work, clean on my day off, and I'm still explaining why I need to spend money on work-related expenses and fuel. One day, while working, I got a text from her sister, "Emergency, please call me as soon as possible." I tell the head chef I got to make a call and head into the storeroom. It was the call I will never forget. "Hi, it's me, Karen's sister. I'm not sure if I should tell you this. Karen's been cheating on you. To summarize, 7 different men over 3 years. To make it worse, she was buying them crap with money I earned, redrawing on our mortgage. She even spent $800 on fixing one of their cars." I was livid. I confronted her, most of which she eventually admitted to once finding her family told me. I said I wanted to break up. I changed my banking password, offered her the house to which she declined, stating she doesn't want the worthless dump. We agreed to 50-50 custody. I spent the next 6 months working, decluttering from years of Karen's impulse spending and staying strong for my now 5-year-old daughter. My work was understanding and agreed to reduce my hours and gave me a pay rise to make sure I'm not too much out of pocket. Karen went on to date and got engaged one of the guys she cheated with, number 3 I think. Introducing Bob. Bob was twice her age, working 8 hours a week trying to find ways to work less. She was still in between jobs, needing money. Karen calls me stating she wants her half of the house. My country allows 2 years for assets to be divided before they become the sole possession of either party, so she is well within her rights to ask. The conversation went like this: "Karen, so I decided I want my half of the house." Me, okay. "I thought you said you wanted none of it." Karen, "Well, I changed my mind. Now, the house is worth $120,000, by law I'm entitled to half, which is $60,000, but I'll do you a favor and settle for $20,000. I explained that she is indeed entitled to half the property. She needs to look at the capital amount owed versus value of property. House had an estimated value $120,000, local government evaluation. We still owed $115,000, should be less, but she kept withdrawing money from the mortgage and property values dropped that year. I said that by this maths she is entitled to half of $5,000, but I'm willing to give you $5,000, remove your name from the mortgage and pay for a conveyancer to remove your name from the deed. This would costed me $10,000 in total. She would walk away with $5,000, more than she would get if we sell right now. She said, "I'm worth more than $5,000, my offer is now $30,000, by next week or we sell." Cue the malicious compliance. I calmly said okay. And hung up, letting her think she had won. She also texted me with the same demand. I booked in to see a lawyer and had a letter drafted. I also met with 2 real estate agents. 1 week later Karen came around, let herself in. I gave her an envelope, assuming it was a check. She snatched from my hands, tore it open to find a letter from my lawyer to the effect of, "Summarized, Karen as directed by yourself on date, text screenshot enclosed. My client, my name, will vacate property on date. Mortgage payment made up to this point has been made by my client. As you had no use of the property, we will not seek compensation for payment made. My client spent $7,000 on repairs, receipts included. As co-owner, we are seeking compensation of $3,500 from you. My client has paid $1,500 in rates and utilities. Receipts included, we are seeking compensation of $750. Additionally, between date of moving out and date of sale, you are responsible for half of mortgage payments, rates, utilities and repairs required for sale." She realized the predicament she was in. "Oh, I'll just take the $5,000, me, nah. You told me if I don't give you $30,000 by today we sell." Karen, "Oh, I was just kidding." Me, "No you weren't." Karen, $4,000. Me, "No." Karen, $3,000 and I give you something on the side, wink wink. Me, backing away, "No, we're selling." Her yelling again, "I can't afford this. You know I'm between jobs and Bob isn't working much. We need this money for our wedding." Me, "Not my problem." I also suggested she speaks to real estate agents. I was told to sell for a profit. We need to spend $2,000 or chances we are selling for a loss. Both estimated house would sell for $110,000. Her real estate agents have the same evaluation with her written promise to pay me back. I did the work. Spent the $2,000, got the house re-evaluated and was told we should make a profit. At her request, we used her lawyer to handle the sale. House took 9 weeks to sell, 15 weeks including settlement. She owed me $8,000. After sales cost, fees paying back, there was a $19,000 profit. In typical Karen fashion, she assumed her lawyer would give her the whole lot as it's her lawyer. I told the lawyer that she owes me $8,000, the money can remain in trust until she agrees to pay me back. As per settlement laws, both parties must agree how the funds are going to be divided before the lawyer can divide it. She wasn't happy with this and threatened to sue her lawyer. 3 months go by. Money is still with her lawyer. I get a call from Karen. Karen, hey listen, I know things have been awkward. I really need my half of the money. Can we please split it and I pay you back $20 a week? Me, no, you get you money after you pay me back, you could pay me out of your settlement. Long pause, whispers between Karen and presumably Bob. If we agree to $7,000 out of our settlement, would you consider the debt paid? Me, that means you get $2,500. Karen, I know, but I'm in real need of this money right now. Me, put it in writing and you got a deal. Thanks for listening.